Friday, March 6th through Sunday, March 8th, 2026, Venus enters Aries and comes into a conjunction with Saturn and Neptune. This is a lovely transit with a lot of potential, but it's got some rough edges too. We will discuss it all. Plus, we're still in the energy of the recent Virgo eclipse, the lunar eclipse on March 3rd. We will be until our next lunation, the new moon in Pisces on March 18th. This Virgo lunar eclipse is calling up themes around health, scheduling, perfectionism, and much more. Plus, we have Mercury retrograde in Pisces, conjunct the sun, and just a bit of a Pisces party here in general. I'm so excited to discuss it all with you today. So let's get this up on the chart and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and mark the Venus Sun Neptune conjunction, which is definitely the main feature of the weekend. We will talk about other things, but this is sort of the most influential transit, the biggest thing happening. And I always put it on the chart so that if you're learning astrology, hopefully it helps with clarity. And if you just want to listen to the astrology and sort of ignore the whole chart aspect, my hope is that you can do that too. Please leave any questions in the chat if you're here live. And also, if you're joining later and would like to put some questions, I will be checking this later as well in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and go through the astrology report, and then we will do a little Q&A at the end. So I will look through the chat then, and we can have a few minutes for that. So feel free to leave any questions about anything that we're discussing here about astrology in general. Okay, so I was referring to this weekend as a great time in terms of new passions. And I feel like that's sort of exactly what's being ignited here with this Venus conjunction to Neptune and Saturn. We're still really learning what this is about for us in most cases, this Saturn Neptune in Aries time. You may already have an idea, but I do feel like the signature is sort of opening up as the personal planets are going to come into conjunction with the signature. And the sun coming into alignment with Saturn and Neptune later this month, and the Aries party that is about to be upon us. There's already a lot of planets in Aries, but this is just the start. That will all be illuminating the signature. And Venus is really the first to move through this process here. Venus conjunct Neptune is lovely, lovely, lovely. I have come to think of it as my favorite transit. I must admit that I am only familiar with it in Pisces and Aquarius, right? I was studying astrology at the end of Neptune's time in Aquarius. I can look back as well and think about that time. And then Neptune's transit through Pisces. So this Venus conjunct Neptune is a little different. It's a little new. It's the first time we've experienced a Venus Neptune conjunction in Aries. So this is something a little new to us all. So I can look at the astrology of that signature and I can think about the Venus Neptune conjunctions that we have experienced, but as much as it's my just to say, as much as it's my favorite conjunction, that does kind of mean while it was in Pisces. I can't say that for sure just with Aries. But there is something very magical and sort of otherworldly and connect in terms of connection with Venus and Neptune that I really love and delight in when it was in Aquarius as well. So I'm sure the same will be true for Aries. And then Venus conjunct Saturn, I think, is really helpful here. I think it's really important that we see this Neptune Saturn conjunction for all of its different potentials. And that means the highest ones as well. Saturn has a lot of positive, helpful signatures that suggest that those energies are a little more available to us right now, that leaning in those directions can be a little bit more helpful than usual. The practical considerations of Venus conjunct Saturn can be very helpful here too. So let's just sort of go through this actually one at a time. Let me say though, Venus enters Aries on Friday, on the 6th, and uh, basically immediately comes into a conjunction with both of these planets. It perfects on the 8th, earlier in the day with Neptune. Some places that will happen on Saturday. And then later on the 8th first with Neptune, then later with Saturn. There's a way in which we could read these energies separately or together. My feeling is that they are very much occurring at the same time, but you may sort of feel both of them, if that makes sense, separately, but they're occurring at the same time. So let's sort of take it one at a time, but keep in mind they're both active all weekend and really throughout the beginning of the week as well. All right, so Venus conjunct Neptune. It's so lovely. It is, first and foremost, I always say this, I always lead with this with Venus conjunct Neptune because it's the truth. It's unconditional love. Unconditional love versus transactional love versus what can I get from you? What can you give to me? What are we exchanging? What can I get from, and this isn't just about people at all. What can I get from this experience? What can I gain from it, versus just really, really um, feeling connected. Venus conjunct Neptune can feel like this is my destiny. This is what this lights me up. This makes me happy. I feel connected to this. It's almost, there's an otherworldly quality to it that can be so mystical. It's so romantic, kind of, where it's like whatever the scenario is can sort of feel like it's stepped out of a dream. You know, I don't know, even if this really doesn't have to be a person. It can be, right? It can be meeting a person and just feeling like so connected to this person, really feeling that um amazing soul connection for sure. Venus conjunct Neptune. But it can be with a thing as well. Like for some reason I just had the idea of like, say you were always dreaming about being a teacher and then you actually are hired as one and you sort of get the keys to the school, and you're able to let yourself out at night when the after all the kids have gone home, and there like this sort of dreamy quality to life, sort of dreams becoming real. um like something sort of stepping out of a dream, feeling like, wow, this is really um my my home, or something feeling quite otherworldly, or like you're meeting your destiny. It can also just be sort of understanding what you really want. And I think that because we're working at such an early degree point here, this is very possible. Not really feeling like we're fully in that dream yet, but understanding what the dream is. Falling in love with the idea of the thing or the person, and not feeling separate from it, feeling incredibly connected to it, right? That union over separateness. And that's really what that unconditional love is about. It's not you and me, and is it working for me, and what are you doing, and is it reciprocal or whatever. It's just a union, um, a coming together, an unconditional situation. Um, there's something very daydreamy about this signature. Whatever this new Aries dream is, this new Aries passion, I think we're starting to open up to it now. We're having these daydreams, and some of them might be a little bit unrealistic, right? We might be being a little bit unrealistic here. Um, that is part of Neptune in Neptune anywhere, and Venus conjunct Neptune as well. I always say wherever we have Neptune in our natal charts, and then wherever it's transiting as well, it's like we're wearing rose colored glasses, meaning that you see everything a little bit more brightly, a little bit more beautiful, probably, than it really is. And so I think sometimes rose colored glasses get a bad rap. Rose colored glasses are a great thing in many ways. It's important to see the world with hope and excitement and seeing the best in others, seeing the best in situations. It really is. I just think it's good to know that you're wearing the rose colored glasses so that you don't get yourself in trouble, right? If you meet someone new, you go, okay, I'm in a space right now where I'm seeing the best in people, where I'm wearing these rose colored glasses. So I need to also really be careful, right? There's an element of Neptune work where we want to make sure the things, the people, we vet them. We make sure it's all really good. If it's someone who's been in your life for years, I'm not worried about it. But new things, new people, we just want to check them, make sure it all feels really good because we are wearing these rose-colored glasses. We're dreaming a lot. We're being a little bit unrealistic. We've total unioned with the thing so much that we may have sort of lost touch with it. So just make sure the ducks are in a row, everything checks out. Go a little slowly. Don't fully rush in here. Um, there's so much selflessness. That's a word that I want to throw in. There's so much selflessness to it that we want to be careful with that as well. But yeah, I mean, there's the potential for ideas to become reality here, to really help other people. This could just show up this weekend acutely as feeling very inspired in some kind of way. You might feel lift in your energy. You might feel like a creative spark, some creative inspiration in some kind of way. Again, not necessarily just for strict creative things. This doesn't mean you're painting, just like falling in love doesn't necessarily mean with a person. Being creatively inspired doesn't necessarily mean making art, right? It can just be that little lift in energy. Um, you might feel excited to sort of make things more beautiful with Venus conjunct Neptune, whether that is a relationship through conversation or your surroundings in some kind of a way. I have to say, I will talk more about the fact that we're in this Virgo eclipse time as well. Let me just put that up really quickly because I'm sort of in a moment where I'm transitioning over. We're going to talk about Venus conjunct Saturn now. So this is actually a good time for me to add this to the chart and mention this Virgo signature really quickly too while we're talking about beautifying surroundings. Okay, so I'm mentioning the fact here that also, I want to do that in a different color so it stands out. Talking here about the fact that we're also under the influence, under the lunation of the recent Virgo lunar eclipse that occurred on the 3rd. And that has a lot to do, especially with the South Node there. There can be a real tendency to want to sort of clean, organize, let things go, clean things out. And so I was just thinking about that with the Venus Neptune conjunction. This could be a weekend where, depending on where you live, not quite ready for spring cleaning here. Lift you up. We are still very much in winter, but I recognize that some places may already be in that. Now I've messed up my screen. I hope that's working again. Some people may be in that spring cleaning energy. It would be a great weekend for spring cleaning because Virgo is so helpful in terms of being excited about letting things go, clearing things out, organizing, coming up with systems. There's so much good for that. And then Venus conjunct Neptune is wonderful in terms of wanting to beautify your surroundings. And we have this like creative spark energy this weekend as well. So that would be a very practical way to use this energy. Okay, let's focus back over here again for a second. So we talked a lot now so far about Venus conjunct Neptune. But at the same time, we have Venus conjunct Saturn. I guess technically, of course, you could say first Venus comes into a conjunction with Neptune and then with Saturn. But, Venus is traveling all the way around this chart. When when this conjunction with Neptune happens at 1 degree and the very, and then basically with Saturn, they're together. They're together in the chart. They're both of the conjunctions perfect this weekend. We are under the influence both of these transits at the same time, uh, as far as I'm concerned. So Saturn is bringing in this really grounded, practical side to things. Okay, so in some ways, you could read that as a bummer or as a block. And I understand the potential for that. I understand why some astrologers are seeing it that way, leaning more in that direction, because these energies feel so different, right? We have this Venus Neptune conjunction that is so ready to go and is in love with where it's going. And we have to kind of ground ourselves because we're wearing these rose colored glasses. We're so in love. Um, but Saturn is more like, wait, wait, wait. That's lovely that you're having that little fantasy over there. Can we talk about some of the actual commitments you're ready to make? Can we talk about what you're actually ready to show up for day after day after day after day? How much time can you give? How much energy can you give? Are you really in? And how in are you? You know? And where are your boundaries? Where are your boundaries? It doesn't seem like you have very many boundaries right now with this little Venus Neptune thing you have going on. This Saturn is bringing us down to earth. And you could see that as a bummer. You could see that as sort of the disciplinarian, um, authority figure. Saturn is very much that, sort of uh, tisk tisk. Here's where you need to be, and tell me what you're ready to commit to, and all of that. You could see the restriction, you could see the restraint behind that side of it. But also, this is what is allowing us to really find a way. All of this is about us moving forward. We're always growing. We always have the potential to learn and evolve and grow. And I think that Saturn being here at the same time is providing wonderful support. I love tracking Saturn through my chart. I'm not going to say it's always easy. It almost never is. I wouldn't say it's easy. Oh my goodness, but it's so constructive. It's so constructive. It's so productive. You make progress. And when Saturn was in Pisces, I think we made progress often in an area of life where we had a hard time doing that. Pisces is a lot of things, but that Saturn energy that I just spoke about had to work with Pisces in a pretty intense way because it's not really all squared up and squared away like that, Pisces energy. But Saturn came in and was like, oh, this stuff that you're all wishy washy about, if you know your chart and you know the Pisces area of your chart, think about the last 2.5 years and how serious you were, how serious you got in that part of the chart in the last 2.5 years, and then how much progress you made as a result, you know? And that's sort of what's happening now with Aries and happening at the same time as this new dream coming in. Okay? So I love it. I love it. I love the influence of Saturn at the same time. I think that this Saturn Neptune, I'm sorry, this Venus Saturn conjunction this weekend speaks about commitment. It's a time where we might be committing. We might be thinking about what the boundaries are, expressing them in some way, understanding them, taking these practical considerations into account. We might be seeking wisdom or advice about relationships in some kind of a way. There is that authority side of Saturn and that wisdom as well, that responsibility. This is showing restraint. It is about understanding the limitations, but in understanding the limitations and then respecting them, that's how we find a way. That's how we find a way to make this dream real. We're working out, Saturn signifies that we have the potential this weekend to begin to start to sort of be working out the rules and the parameters available here. There's a realism coming in, right? There's a dream coming in, and then there's a realism coming in at the same time. What a powerful combination. We want to show we're serious. We want to demonstrate, loyalty and commitment with things like this. And I just think we're really starting to understand the rules and the parameters of this new dream that's coming in a little bit more clearly. Okay. Speaking about the fact that we're under this influence of this recent Virgo lunar eclipse, um, that was a very powerful eclipse on March 3rd. We're still in eclipse season here, meaning that this time might feel especially busy. On top of what I just said about Saturn conjunct Neptune, we're in eclipse season until March 18th, when we have the new moon in Pisces. So that might just make this time feel like a very busy time where we're sort of working through a lot, where we're processing different things. I've spoken a lot about this eclipse, and there's other places. I'll link at this end of this video to a video I did with my friend Corinne about that, where you can hear a little bit more. But I did want to add a couple things today. One thing I wanted to say is that I really underestimated the sort of health focus piece that might be coming in around this lunation with this eclipse. Um, Anecdotally, I saw it come up so much, and I don't know why I underestimated it. Virgo, I always do. I guess I think of the health side, and nutrition and sort of all of that, but I think of the perfectionism and the scheduling. And, I knew that uh, basically there are so many different themes that we're working with when it comes to this sign of Virgo. Perfectionism, letting go of perfectionism, letting go of um, the need to overplan, overschedule, overdo. We've been working with these themes for a little while. When did these eclipses start? I do have to look that up. So, yeah, since September 17th of 2024, this axis has been activated, and we will have two more Pisces Virgo eclipses. One in Pisces in August, and then one again in Virgo, the final one in Virgo in February of 2027. So that whole bigger period, we're really thinking about releasing that perfectionism, releasing overdoing, over planning. And I think something that came up during this eclipse cycle that I wasn't as prepared for as maybe I should have been, it caught me a little off guard, was the way in which people can really focus on health, on things that they want to improve, that they want to do better, or something can be going on health wise that's calling your attention. So I just saw that a lot. And we're still in this eclipse season until March 18th. So also during eclipse seasons, things and people can sort of come in and out of importance, of prominence, of the spotlight. That's a big part of what eclipse energy is all about. And we've seen quite a bit of that in the collective. And you might be seeing that in your life too. You know, what was having a lot of attention and now it isn't. What's coming out of prominence or into prominence. Um, there's that letting go potential just in general with a Virgo eclipse. You know, there's one other part of the chart we need to talk about, which is Pisces. Let's go ahead and mark that as well. We have a little bit of a Pisces party going on here still. And, I think this is a really interesting time for the Pisces part of the chart because Saturn and Neptune have moved on, and Saturn and Neptune were there for so long. So, this house, this part of our chart is really feeling the absence of Saturn and Neptune. There's a Mercury retrograde happening there. The North Node is there. Mars is there. The Sun is there. We're in Pisces season. There's definitely a lot of activity in Pisces. But it's different because Saturn and Neptune have recently left. So I think there's a lot of emotional processing happening right now, just in general. And that's another thing. I feel like I always forget until I'm actually in the season just how sort of deep and emotional and past focused Pisces season can really be. You may find that in yourself this weekend, just a lot of emotional processing. Um, I think it is bigger than usual because Saturn and Neptune have recently moved on. So we're not just taking into account like the recent past. Your mind, your memory could be pulling you even further back than that. And just keep in mind, I love astrology as a reminder that things are temporary. That's the thing about emotions. Why is it that emotions can feel so permanent while we're having them? They say when you're having a good day, you kind of feel like, I'm having a good day and I'll always have good days. And I've always had good days. Like it feels so permanent. And when you're having a bad day, you feel like, I'm having a bad day. I'm always going to have bad days. I always have had bad days. They both feel so incredibly permanent, but they're not. They're not. And sometimes astrology is a great reminder of that because we see the end of things. We are in Pisces season now. When we get to the equinox, the sun will move on to Aries. By the time we are in late March, the assembly of planets, the uh, mass of planets that is partying in the sign of Aries is unbelievable. I think we have 9 planets there at the time of the Aries new moon. So Pisces season will end. This is a time for those deep emotions, for processing the past. If your mind is pulling you to the past, if you're maybe having more dreams than usual. I think though that there is, remember all of this is going on at the same time, right? All of these things we talked about, the uplift of the Venus Neptune, the fact that we're in this busy eclipse season, the fact that we're working with all this Pisces energy at the same time. When I put it all together, I think there's a lot of positive potential here, even just emotionally. And I also would like to mention what probably many of you have noticed by now, which is this trine that's showing up here. Now, the moon moves very quickly. So Sunday morning, this is the most active on East Coast time. I've got my chart set for New York here, 8:30 in the morning on Sunday. This trine is basically exact, but we do have the moon in Scorpio basically all weekend. This is lovely. This is lovely. It's fleeting, but nice, beautiful harmony between the water signs. I am really just enjoying any configuration between Jupiter and Cancer, trining any of the planets, and that's working with the moon and Mercury and the sun very closely this weekend. So I think that that suggests that positive potential. If it's like if on the inside we feel just maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% better than usual, maybe a little more energy, maybe a little more optimism. It might be helping us to process all that's coming up with Pisces. It might be helping us tap into this new dream and the new boundaries, and just work through this busy eclipse season. So, these are really the three parts of the chart that are active this weekend. We've got so much new energy coming in, new passions, new dreams. It's all very exciting. So, I am looking at the comments now. Thank you all so much for being here. I've sort of been looking as we go. I just appreciate you all so much for being here. Hello, Panda. Hello, Piano Matron. I feel I've seen you before. It's so nice to see you again. Oh, Bebo, good morning. Yes. Oh my goodness. Trying to get motivated as winter made me want to snuggle up a lot. Oh my goodness, I know. This weather for me as well. We had such a rainy day here yesterday. It just rained and rained and rained, and I was productive, but I don't I don't know. It was tricky. I was, but I moved so slowly. It can be a bit cozy in winter. And then that Pisces season. Pisces season, you really feel it. All right. I appreciate you all being here. I've been a little bit inconsistent with these podcasts, but I'm going to stick to a strict Monday, Friday schedule again for a while. I had been very consistent. I had a little bit of a change up in February. During eclipse season, we were featuring those other videos, which I will actually attach at the end here, Saturn, Neptune, and eclipse season, or you can find them on my channel. But I'm going to be here Friday mornings, Monday mornings for the foreseeable future. And I just appreciate you all being here so much. Bebo, I actually don't think, Bebo said, I'm not sure why I'm not getting notifications on your live. Um, YouTube makes me mad. Sometimes we have storms coming. Then they said cold again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. The cold keeps coming and the storms as well. Yes, I haven't been on the lives. I've took a little, you may not have missed as many as you think. You can check my channel, the homepage, and the recent, there's a playlist of this podcast, Astrology Chat Live, or you can go to the podcast tab as well and see the recent episodes. But yeah, it was a little scarce for a few weeks. February was just a crazy month on my end, and then I also wanted to feature those videos that I did with Corinne on Saturn, Neptune, and the eclipse season. But now, Mondays, Fridays. I'm so excited. And I'm so excited that some of you find this helpful and that you're learning astrology. Oh, so nice to see you. I'm seeing a note from Susie saying that she is from Zagreb, Croatia. So nice. So nice of you to check in with us from there. I knew someone who was from there once, actually. Her name was Zlatka, and I knew her when I was in high school, and she came from Zagreb. I hear it's very, very beautiful in Croatia. I've never been there, but I would love to go. I am sending love to everyone. I hope you have a nice weekend. There's a lot going on. This is not simple astrology, right? It's a really poignant period. February and March were. So, wishing you all the best. Have a great weekend.